we're going to go ahead and start. In case you're in the wrong place, this is the public hearing for a special use permit and site plan submitted by Crossroads Ventures. And we'll start it out with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have with our clerk the affidavit of publication, the receipt, and the receipts of all of the mail, the certified mail that was sent out. So we're going to file a receipt of that. We'll start out the public hearing with approximately 20-minute presentation by the applicant, and followed by comments of the public. I would ask that the comments be directed towards the planning board, not the applicant. I would suspect that everybody would act in a professional manner without blurting things out and showing some respect for the speaker. No ducking sounds or rolling of the eyes. It's understood this is a public hearing, so the planning board is not answering any questions tonight, nor is the applicant. We're just here to take questions from the public concerning the project. Comments. Yes, comments. We will limit to 3 minutes per speaker, so that we're not here all night. And it looks like we are not overpopulated, so we'll be fine. So if more people come in, more people want to speak, we may have to ask that you rotate, and after you speak, leave the building, because leave the room. You can't have that many in here, but it looks like we're fine right now. All right, so that's all I have as far as rules go. Planning board's satisfied with that?
We also ask that nobody repeat something that's been said already, just in the interest of saving time.
Okay, so let's hand it over to Crossroads for their presentation. And the planning board members, we can sit on the sides to get, if you want to be able to see what's going on.
While we're waiting for this to warm up, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be here today and make a presentation on the project. My name is Teresa Baker. I'm with the law firm of Whiteman, Osterman & Hanna, as is my partner, Dan Russo. Right next to him is Gary Gales, and there is Jeff Schoonmaker. And I'm going to keep this as brief as possible, understanding that you're here tonight to talk. And this project has been around since 1999, so it's been around for a very long time. It's changed very much during that time frame, but this is a picture of Wild Acres Resort that we're starting with. Jeff, here's okay. This is the Bel Air Mountain Ski Center you're all familiar with. Wild Acres right here, the Front Nine Village here with the golf course connecting it, and the High Mount Spa up here at the site of the former High Mount Ski Center. This is flipped the other way. This is Route 28 up here at the top, and again you can see all the different.
Point out got a pointer, but it's not
That's a pointer, but I don't know that it's showing now.
That's interesting. Well, it was to start with, but not now. Okay. Go ahead to the next slide. That's just a different arrangement. This is the portion of the project that we refer to as Wild Acres Resort, which is the Wild Acres Hotel and the Front Nine Village. This is a representation of what the Wild Acres Hotel will look like. This is from across 49A and at a higher level above the trees looking down. Next slide. This is right off of 49A going into Wild Acres, and it's a visual representation of what it'll look like once it's constructed. And again, this is Wild Acres looking into the entrance, and it gives you a very good sense of what the hotel will look like when it's built. This is the Wild Acres on the other side, facing down the mountain towards 28. And it shows you how Wild Acres is built into the side of the hill. You get a sense of how everything's arranged. At the bottom of the slope is the golf course clubhouse right there. And again, you see how it's nestled into the side of the mountain. And this is just a closer shot of that. Go ahead, Jack. Now we're going to talk about the High Mount Spa Resort, which is on the other side of 49A. And you can see here, let's see if this works now. You can see the old High Mount Ski Center right down there on the edge of the rectangle. Okay. This is a picture of the model of the High Mount Spa. It's a unique design by a famous architect, Emilio Ambas. It has a green roof. It's built into the side of the mountain, and it is made to look as if it's a naturally occurring form and structure. Everything has been consolidated into the hotel, and then the lodging building up to the back. There are a few small units as well along the road in. Originally, as part of the agreement in principle that was negotiated back in 2007, there was to be additional units up the mountain, and those were removed. That was a decision of the project sponsor, and we feel it enhances the project overall. Jack? This is a description of how much the project has been modified over the years. I know it's hard to see the numbers, but originally we had Big Indian Plateau and Wild Acres, and it involved 1,960 acres. Now, with the project that's currently in front of the planning board, it's 739 acres, and of those 739 acres, only 21 acres will have impervious surfaces. So, by and large, the majority of any disturbance is the site which will be returned to green and involves the golf course. You'll all recall that Big Indian originally had a golf course as well as Wild Acres. We only have one golf course now at Wild Acres. Big Indian has become state forest land, and there's additionally some property which we call the Edelstein parcel, which is now under a conservation easement with DEP. So really, all we have left is the land that we're proposing to develop here, as well as some land that may eventually be sold to the state as part of the High Mount, taking the High Mount ski trails and adding them to the Bel Air Mountain holdings. Also, just want to draw your attention to the miles of road. Originally, we had 8.2 miles of road. Now we're down to 1.5 miles of road. All the road is going to be privately owned, privately taken care of. It will not have an impact on the municipality. A lot of the effort during the redesign, which took place as part of the agreement in principle, also involved taking structures off of steeper slopes. So we've been very intentional in taking structures off of steeper slopes, and we've also consolidated structures wherever possible. We have a private water supply, and all the wastewater is going to the New York City DEP plant in Pine Hills. We thought it'd be helpful to run through the special use permit general standards. These are the standards that we have to meet in order to get a permit from the town. Go ahead, Jack. So the first one deals with the location and size of the use, the nature and the intensity of the operations, really to see how the design of the facility is in harmony with the overall development of this district. So what we looked at is there were prior uses on the privately owned site, which included logging, hunting, hotel operations, hiking. We're reintroducing a resort use, which was common throughout the Catskills, particularly in this area. Throughout the issues conference, there was a lot of discussion about the number of units that there used to be in the Catskills, the number of rooms, and the intensity of resorts. We're introducing only a small fraction of that use back into this area. We also have everything now focused on the Bel Air Mountain Ski Center as a high intense use area, and we're consolidating the resort and the recreational uses within that area. And we're proposing this development now and no more development in the future with respect to these properties. So this is one complete design which will be implemented and which will not be changed or added to in the future. The other general special use permit standard has to do with the buildings and the massing of the buildings and the impact that will have on surrounding uses. 60 to 65% of the lands within 10 miles are state-owned. So they're permanently protected. They're only going to be used for the purposes for which they're used presently. There are residential land uses in close proximity and some limited commercial uses in close proximity. We believe that the proposed resort will enhance the value of nearby lands and that it will enable existing commercial establishments in the community to remain open longer hours, more days of the week than they currently do now. We did an extensive survey of local businesses, and really the very strong belief is that it will just enhance the existing local businesses rather than necessarily give rise to additional businesses. Go ahead, Jack. We looked at traffic. We looked at access ways. We spent a lot of time looking at those issues. There have been a number of traffic impact studies and updates. They've been reviewed by DOT, they've been reviewed by DEC as the secret lead agency, and they've been actually reviewed by independent consultants that DEC retained for that specific purpose. There will be improvements to County Route 49A. It's currently not in the best of shape. It needs stormwater improvements even with under its existing conditions, and it needs some changes to bring the roadway alignment into anything approximating standards that you typically would see with roadways in New York State. Everything will be accessed off of 49A. Our consultants, Creighton Manning, has looked very carefully at site distances and accesses, and they've picked the locations where it will be most safe for those properties to be accessed. There's also a public road that goes through Wild Acres, which is the Gunnison Road. We are fully expecting that the town will require us to examine the condition of the roads and to bring them up to the condition we found them in or better, subsequent to our construction. The next one has to do with off-street parking and loading spaces and whether we meet those requirements in a way that will prevent people from parking in public streets. And so the resort as a whole has over 1,000 parking spaces. Now, when you look at the model or the designs or the visualization of what it will look like when it's built, you'll see that the vast majority of those parking spaces are in structured parking. They're either under the building or they're in a parking garage next to the building with respect to Wild Acres. There are the numbers of spaces that we're providing meet the requirements of the local zoning code in terms of the units, in terms of restaurants and convention space. Each multi-unit detached lodging building has its own separate parking, including visitor parking, quote unquote, or overflow parking for those units. We've spent a lot of time looking at landscaping and revegetation or reforestation of the site after we're finished with construction. And so we have a specific landscape design, landscaping plans that show what we're doing. 233 out of 739 acres will be affected by project construction, leaving 70% of the site unaffected. And as we said previously, only a very small fraction of the site will ultimately have impervious areas associated with it. The golf course itself will have better drainage characteristics than the land as it currently exists because we'll bring in topsoil for the golf course. With respect to the High Mount Hotel, which has a green roof, it has particular drainage characteristics where it has the vegetation that grows on the roof and it's integrated as part of the drainage and landscaping. The buildings will all be sprinklered and they all have access for the fire protection equipment. So these are modern buildings, and in addition to that, there's been a lot of attention given to how you would get emergency vehicles there. We've also tried to really make sure that the character of the buildings are appropriate, and to make sure that the architectural images of the building are consistent with what was there in the past in terms of the resorts. And that's certainly true with respect to the Wild Acres Hotel, its design. It's very, it's not repetitive, it has elements that are different and stand out and break up the massiveness of the building itself. With respect to the Ambaz building, it is intended to, and it does look like it's literally part of the mountain itself. And really, the goal of this is to enhance the area and to set a very high standard for new resort development in the Catskills. The project has been, as redesigned, is not visible from any forest preserve lands classified as wilderness. And the visibility is very limited due to the vegetation, topography, distance, and other mitigation measures. Some of those mitigation measures include things like non-reflective glass, earth tones for the buildings, everything that we can do to make sure that it blends into the background and it doesn't, in fact, stand out in an unhelpful way. We, as part of the draft environmental impact statement and the supplemental environmental impact statement, undertook noise studies to look at both noise associated with construction and noise associated with operation, so that we could be sure that we designed enough mitigation measures into the project so that we would not create a nuisance or that we would not inconvenience the people who live around the site. And the noise mitigation was very particular, and it is listed in the appendices to the SDEIS, which are referenced in the application materials. We also looked at the benefits the project will bring from an economic benefit standpoint. It will employ a lot of people. It will also result in wages and salaries estimated at $191 million. The total economic effect is estimated at $703 million. There's also an estimate of local and state tax revenues, exclusive of real estate taxes. And we've also looked at the taxes that could be generated from the property as well. And this is all from a property now which currently doesn't generate much tax revenue at all. Any other? Last one, these are just the construction period benefits and the operating period benefits to see how it sort of flows seamlessly from construction into operation. The project will bring a lot of benefits locally. Since 1999, we've been working on this project. My daughter was 4, I think, when I started this. And in that period of time, no other project has emerged in this area that would provide these kind of benefits. We think that we have done a very good job of working with all the parties to the action. We've, by entering into the agreement in principle and addressing the concerns of the majority of the environmental groups, we have a better project now than when we started. And we look forward to working with the town as they review the special use permit and site plan criteria so that we can hopefully start construction of the project. Thank you very much.
Again, there's a sign-up sheet up front here. If anybody came in later and would like to speak, you have to sign it. And I'll go by those the names on the list. So officially open up our public hearing. We will take the way it's going to work, as I said, is 3 minutes. We have 30 seconds left. I'll indicate that, so don't think I'm being rude. I just want to give you an opportunity to wrap up your comments. Yeah, let's do a roll call.
Tom Brewer,
Yes.
Kathy Jordan, Mark Christie,
Here.
John Horn,
Here.
Joanne Kell,
Here.
Alan Shiner,
Here.
Clifford Bucko.
Here.
Okay.
We're just missing Kathy.
Okay, I'll try to read your writings. The first one is Beverly Renown.
I have a lot more to say, but then 3 minutes, so whoever has the hook, feel free. I am Beverly Renown, and I live on County Road 489A, directly across from the High Mount Ski Area. Thank you guys, first of all, for volunteering for this job. That's really nice. I have a couple of problems for you to consider. There are problems with the reopening of High Mount and with construction of the High Mount Spa. The lands of both are directly adjacent to my property. The first problem is stormwater runoff and snowmelt, no surprise. It's specified in the AIP and in the SPDEIS permit application that Crossroads must conform with the New York State Stormwater Design Manual, which requires that post-development 10 to 100-year, 24-hour peak discharge rates do not exceed pre-development rates. In other words, what comes out after construction can't be more than goes out before construction. I'm concerned with all the culverts along 49A and on up the hill to the spot. Some are numbered, some are not. Two in particular have gained some fame. Those two flank my house. One is design point 6 and one is design point 6A. You've seen hundreds of pages of HydroCAD analyses, I'm sure, for design point 6 and 6A. Throw them out. They don't mean anything for 6 and 6A. You've read hundreds of words saying that the output pretty much equals input. That is inaccurate for design point 6 and 6A. Yet you'll find miscalculations are referred to throughout the FEIS, in the executive summary, in the answers to public comments, in updates as recent as August 14th, and in written comments from the DEC staff. The truth is found in errata section 2.12, the description of the remaking of County Road 49A, and oddly enough on page 10 of the traffic summary in the executive summary, and in 4 somewhat hidden pages of HydroCAD analyses, which I have left for you. They state that the new culverts will be part of the widening of 49A. DP6 is going to be increased by 285%. It's 55 inches wide now. It's going to be 2 3/4 times as large. You could put a king-size bed, they could rent it out. The replacement culvert at DP6A, the other side of our house, will increase capacity 310% after the County Road 49A is improved. No problem, you say? Use mitigation measures.
Time.
Okay, fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Beverly. Carol O'Brien?
Laverne.
Laverne?
Thank you.
Hi, thanks for letting me come tonight to give you our urging and point of view about the purpose of the meeting. I am Carol O'Byrne. I am the Executive Director of the Central Catskills Chamber of Commerce. We serve the communities and the businesses along the Route 28 corridor from the town of Olive through to the town of Andes. We have 150 members made up of businesses, organizations, and municipalities, of which the town of Shandaken is a member. Tonight, it's clear that the Bel Air Resort Project is going to bring new people to our area. It will be part of our tourism economy, and it will be an important part. Every day I get calls from people who want to come and stay at a high-end hotel, a resort, and it is challenging for me to be able to tell them where they can go in the Central Catskills and stay here. I'm often urged to send them off to a different county, to a different resort, because they provide the amenities that the customer